Very good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Akanksha Swaroop and we are coming live to you from the CNN News 18 and Federal Time Tour. What is equality under the Constitution if women cannot be safe in their workplace? That's what Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud questioned today as the three-judge bench of the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance of the gruesome rape and murder of the trainee doctor in Kolkata. The bench went on to take note of the lack of safe conditions for doctors working in hospitals, especially women doctors who are more vulnerable. The court has expressed regret at the fact that the victim's name and photos were published across the media. Several other tough questions were raised regarding the role of the Kolkata police and Dr. Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of RGK Medical College. In a few days, the government has introduced Ruchir Sharma. It is the West Bengal government's program to enhance safety of women working night shifts. This program aims to provide a safe working space for women. But mind you, it also limits the working hours of women doctors to a maximum of 12 hours and avoids assigning them night duty as much as possible. Is this what the women of our country deserve in the name of freedom and safety? And how do such programs help in ensuring greater female contribution to the labour force? So from fury on the streets to lambasting by the courts, will the TMC government finally take responsibility? That's the big question we are probing tonight on Brass Tacks.
We want justice! We want justice! We want justice! We want justice!
Is heard with great relief the pronouncements of the Supreme Court of India. Remember, every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Anybody listening? Will Mamata Banerjee please raise her hands?
सीबीआई को 7 दिन हो चुके हैं इस चीज को प्रोब करते हुए, आज छठा दिन है। आपको अभी तक कोई हिंट मिला है कि उनका प्रोब किस डायरेक्शन में? नहीं। इस स्टेटस रिपोर्ट में आपको उम्मीद है कि जो आपका एप्रीहेंशन था कोशिश कर रहे हैं, आपको उम्मीद है कि
सच्चाई आएगा, जस्टिस मिले।
The Chief Justice of India has clearly stated that the state administration was absolutely callous. The Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's administration was not interested in justice. We welcome the observations of the Supreme Court of India.
All right, before I open this debate to our esteemed panelists, I'm joined in by Ms. Aparna Sen, who, as we all know, is a renowned actor, director and screenwriter. Remember, she's also joined the stir in Bengal. She's also shown solidarity with the protesters. Many thanks to you, Aparna Sen. Joining on how the Supreme Court has shared their observations. I would like you to also focus on the need for the Supreme Court today to take such suo motu cognizance.
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I feel that, I'm very glad that the Supreme Court took a suo motu cognizance of this particular gruesome incident. But the problem is that why did it have to? Why did not the state government deal with it in a better way? What they did was really unthinkably bad. I mean, what they did in the way they shielded Sandeep Ghosh, the principal, the erstwhile principal of RGK, is just something that is unacceptable. I'm very glad that the case is now in Supreme Court, and I'm very hopeful that it will be now solved.
Aparna, in its defense, the TMC government is quoting the night helper program, which of course, as we all know, limits women from working at night. Their overall work time will also be reduced to 12 hours. Many are calling it paternalism. Do you think this is going to help women who are now being talked about in terms of India being one of those countries where women are known to be a force to reckon with in the labor force?
This step is such a regressive step that it's laughable. How can you do that? It is tantamount to saying that we are unable to protect or give security to our female workforce or our transgender workforce. That is what it is tantamount to. Let the state government admit that they are not capable of giving security to the female workers.
But what would you like to say to all those who have been talking about how there's a complete failure of the Mamata Banerjee government? What can the government in the state now do to restore its credibility and faith within the people of Bengal? Aparna, can you hear me?
I think, as I've said before, I can hear you, but this is breaking up. It's not a good connection. But let me say this, that I think that the state government, RCM, Mamata Banerjee, has really backed herself into a corner from which it is very difficult for her to extricate herself and the party. Having said that, I don't know what the future holds, because while we are all clamoring for justice, while many of us are very, very justifiably saying that they want the resignation of Mamata Banerjee, which I have no quarrel with that at all. But I just wonder what will be the outcome, the fallout, because TMC is a very big ally in the India alliance, and we now were priding ourselves after the election of having a very strong opposition. That opposition will be weakened, but
true. But are you not particularly disappointed? Are you not particularly disappointed in a Mamata Banerjee, somebody who also tom-toms...
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
My question is, are you not particularly disappointed in a Mamata Banerjee who takes pride in the fact that she's the only woman chief minister in this country?
Breaking up.
Are you not particularly disappointed in Mamata Banerjee, who claims to be, or who rather takes pride in the fact that she's the only woman chief minister in India?
Yes, I am disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I cannot understand why she has been behaving the way she has. She had empowered women to an extent which is actually the reason for her popularity and for her winning the elections. But if she goes on in this way, I can only speak for the urban educated middle class. I can't speak for the people in the villages. I know this outrage, this protest has spread outside the city of Calcutta. It has spread to other cities. It has even spread abroad. But I don't know how far it has spread into the villages and what the women in the villages are saying. Because many of them are happy to have, their money in their bank account thanks to Mamata Banerjee's Lokhit Bhandar or something. But that does not excuse in any way the way with people, the way this regressive step about women working only for 12 hours, absolute nonsense. Why cannot there be an elected internal complaint committee rather than an appointed one in hospitals to start with? And also why, the Justice Chandrachud has actually enumerated the needs very, very well of making the workspace safe for all doctors, men, women, transgenders, whatever. He has made it very clear, women and transgenders in particular. I do not have anything to add to that, except that I can only say this will go on and on and on, even after we have been able to solve this case, even if justice has been meted out to the culprits. After that, there will still be more rapes. There was very recently a rape in Jharkhand where a 16-year-old girl was pregnant and she was killed and raped. Now, the thing is that it will go on and on until we change the patriarchal mindset, which is a very important thing to change. I've been saying that through all my films all this time. I've said it in my last film, The Rapist. Patriarchal mindset, it begins with the families, it begins with the mothers, the fathers, teaching their sons how to be good citizens, how to respect women,
Right.
how to be,
Right.
how to see women as equals. It needs gender studies with a bias. Just a minute, gender studies in school with a moral bias. That's what. And
I couldn't
I
agree
would
more with
also
you,
add one-
Aparna, because, you know, as we say that we've taught our daughters and the women of this country to be liberated, to be independent, but we've not taught our sons to handle those liberated women. Many thanks to you, Aparna Sen. Thank you for calling a spade, and thank you for giving us your precious time. And with that, let's now, I open my debate and let me introduce my esteemed panelists today. I'm joined in by Ms. Sanju Verma, who's the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Riju Datta, who's the national spokesperson of the TMC, Dr. Shama Mohammed, who's a spokesperson for the Congress Party, and Satya Mule, who's a senior lawyer at the Supreme Court. Many thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. Riju, I'd like to begin with you, considering the TMC has been in the dock for the last few days. We've, you know, the big question now after what the CJI had to say, all those observations making pointed questions towards the government and the lapses. Do you still say that the TMC has not been responsible for everything that happened that night at the RG Kar Medical College?
The Honorable Supreme Court and the Chief Justice, in all their wisdom, has made some oral observations, and rightfully so. He has pointed out that there were some lapses in the investigation. I am not going to challenge that or doubt that. But he has never said which people have come on national media and peddled. He has never said that there was any evidence tampering. He has never said that there are multiple people involved and it's a case of gang rape. This was spreading like wildfire everywhere, and spokespersons from BJP and CPM are coming on national TV and peddling that. He has never said that. But what he has done today is, he said categorically that I take suo motu cognizance because we cannot wait for another rape. He started the National Task Force. Is it the job of the Chief Justice to start a National Task Force? When the BNS was implemented, if a patient dies due to negligence by a doctor will be put behind bars. Why is the CPA not passed in the parliament? That is what the doctors are asking for. Why is not the protection? Why there is what my leader Abhishek Banerjee said? Why is there no ordinance that if somebody has been found guilty of rape and murder and there is enough evidence in investigation, pass a bill, pass a ordinance in the parliament, and Trinamool will support it.
All right,
Riju, we'll hang him in 7 days.
Let me quote what the CJI had to say verbatim. Why we decided to take suo motu through, though High Court was hearing it, because this is not just a case of a horrific murder in Kolkata hospital, but this is about systemic issue, quote unquote, about safety of doctors across India. You tell me, RG Kar Medical College, which is a state-run hospital, if a woman is found raped and dead, whose responsibility is to protect that woman?
Akanksha, very nice question. And yes, it is the responsibility of the state police, the state administration, and we are not shying away from it. Now, let me make some points. In the last 48 to 72 hours, 2 patients have been raped by a doctor in SCB Medical College in Odisha. Who's the Odisha government? A nurse has been gang raped in Uttarakhand. Who's the government there? So the bottom line is what the CGI said, it's a collective issue. But I will also make one more pertinent point before you get others in. The Calcutta police arrested the primary accused within 12 hours. The case is with CBI for the last 7 days. Has there been any extra arrest made?
Let me not get into the lapses. You're talking about arresting the accused when there's already been several lapses. Look at the plight of those mourning parents. They were not allowed to see the body for 3 hours. There was a rushed cremation when 2 bodies were already in line, and you're tom-tomming everything that has gone wrong. Sanju Verma, let me bring you in. They talk about let's not politicize a gruesome, heinous murder and crime, but this is exactly what they are doing today as well.
You know, Akanksha, I've been on a zillion debates on this particular issue, and it's not a great topic to participate in, but let truth be told. First and foremost, I think Supreme Court taking suo motu cognizance is in itself an indication that all is not well in West Bengal under the incompetent Mamata Banerjee regime. Second and most important point, be it Kolkata High Court, be it the Apex Court. They've asked a few questions which are common to both these, courts. A, why the delay in filing the FIR? Because Kolkata police eventually reports into Mamata Banerjee. That clearly points that, there was collusion at the state level to hide this nefarious and gruesome crime. Point number 2, why did the hospital file a complaint of unnatural death, which is usually filed when, the investigation has been closed, but in this case, the investigation is underway. Before the CBI can come to a conclusion, a case of unnatural death has been filed, which is what the Kolkata High Court took offense to. Point number 3, the Kolkata High Court had said, and the Supreme Court repeated it, maybe not in as many words. The Kolkata High Court said, this man Sandeep Ghosh, he should not be taking any responsibility. He should be sitting at home. What was the need for Mamata Banerjee to actually promote him as the principal of National Medical College, Kolkata? He had to be sent on indefinite leave at the behest of the Kolkata High Court. And today the Supreme Court said similar stuff when it said, why is the state giving the principal, or rather the erstwhile principal, special treatment, in a clear reference to the incompetent Sandeep Ghosh, under whose watch this is not the first time such a horrifying crime has happened. Don't forget, Akanksha, in 2020, a young 25-year-old trainee doctor called Paulami Saha jumped off from the 6th floor just 2 hours before she was supposed to assume duty in the afternoon shift. And under whose watch it happened? The man then was also Sandeep Ghosh, and the entire thing was hushed under the carpet. The fourth and most important point, which the Kolkata High Court said and the Supreme Court reinforced, why was such a large crowd allowed to gather, in a clear reference to that 7,000 strong mob which broke barricades, which jumped off the walls of Arjikar Medical College and tried to contaminate the scene of an already compromised crime scene? And I will end by just saying this, let your audience judge. In the FIR, these are the timings that have been given.
Come in.
Gang rape and murder perhaps at 3 a.m. of the deceased. Body found at 7:30 a.m. Police informed at 10:30 a.m. And guess what? Formal FIR filed at 11:45 p.m. in the night. The crime occurs at 3 a.m. Even after discovering it at 7:30 a.m., you take 3 hours to inform the police, and then you actually file a formal FIR at close to midnight. Are you not ashamed of yourself?
All right.
Thank you for
in fact reiterating all those observations made by the Supreme Court today. Let me bring in Shama. Shama,
I need to answer.
Riju, I will give you.
I will not answer. No. But the BJP.
No, I will give you time. You know, there are other panelists who are waiting their turn. I will come back to you. Let's go in rotation right now. Shama, it's important to also talk about political conscience, which I think right now is lacking in the opposition, considering I was extremely disappointed with the way Mr. Rahul Gandhi, our honorable leader of opposition, tackled that question when the press posed it to him with regards to the heinous rape and murder. He said that, do not distract me. I will, come and address it when the time is right. But, he could have perhaps condemned the TMC more unabashedly. There's a tweet from him on the 14th of August, which again clubs all the rapes across the nation. But why not corner the TMC where it deserves to be cornered?
Okay, first and foremost, I need uninterrupted time. I don't want the other lady to interrupt. She has bad habits. Number two, when you're introducing the other two panelists as national spokesperson, you have to also introduce the Congress panelists as the national spokesperson. I'm not a spokesperson. I happen to be the official national spokesperson of the Congress party.
All
so have the
right, Dr.
courtesy,
Mohammed,
since you're
my
new, you might not
apologies.
know about it.
No, please
Number
don't be
three.
condescending over here.
Yeah, now
You're
number
being
three.
condescending.
I'm not condescending.
No,
I'm
you are, because
I'm
you don't know
correcting
how
you.
new or
Because
how
if you
old
are
I
coming
am.
as an anchor,
No,
you should know
just
these
go ahead
details.
with the point that
So
you
number
want to
three, I want to speak. If you want to let me speak, let me speak. Otherwise, I don't mind. I'll keep quiet.
I'd appreciate
now,
respect.
there are a couple of things in this. Rahul Gandhi has condemned it unequivocally, and he said what has happened there. I'm saying what has happened there. I'm a doctor myself. It was a safe area for her. She was raped and murdered, and what happened, the administration went wrong. It is not denied by anyone. But let us see, you just mentioned the parents did not see the body for 3 hours. Let's not forget, in Hathras, the parents did not even see the cremation. Their daughter was burnt they were locked in a room and they were cremated by the police without them there. Okay. Number two, Aparna Sen said the right thing. There is patriarchy here. But what is the other important thing? Conviction. Let us understand one thing very important in this country. People who are convicted are out on parole. What is Gurmeet Ram Rahim? 2017 convicted for the rape and murder of 2 girls.
Dr. Mohammed, please
By
don't
now,
waste my
he has
time
been
by
out for
digressing over
232
here.
days.
You demanded the resignation
I
of
have to.
Yogi.
I am not.
You demanded the resignation of the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. Why not demand the resignation of the West Bengal Chief Minister? I will not let you bully me over here on this debate. Satya Mule.
So I'm not bullying you. If you don't
You
want
are.
to
You
listen to
just
facts,
did
and
that.
let me finish.
You're talking about resignations
I'm not bullying you. I'm telling the facts. Since you're a BJP anchor,
yeah,
I'm telling,
this is not the first time
yeah, so
I've
let me
heard those
speak. You're not letting me
allegations.
speak.
Mohammed is as shameless
No,
as
no, let me.
she's not
No,
even
you
a
can't
doctor.
interrupt. So then, let's
Alright,
understand
let her make a point.
when Hathras
Let her make a
happened.
point. Sharma, Dr. Sharma, please go ahead, make your point.
When
Sanju, I will be
When
accused of
Hathras
being a BJP
happened-
stooge.
when Hathras, can I speak? Let me tell. When Hathras
Sanju,
happened,
please let Dr.
the chief
Mohammed.
minister, the chief minister did not allow a CBI probe. He said it was an international conspiracy. We had to protest. Here the chief minister has asked the CBI to probe. What are you saying? There's a huge difference. Mamata Banerjee did not stop a CBI probe. She immediately has given it to the CBI. There, he's clear.
Satya Mule, I would like to bring you in.
Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka
Should the West Bengal government not be, in fact, if it fails to satisfy the Supreme Court in its submissions that are to be made on Thursday, can this warrant the removal, suspension of the call? I'm going to request Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed, I'm running short of time. I have a very important question with regards to the Kolkata police. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Bhule, does that not warrant expelling or suspension of the higher-ups in the Kolkata police if the West Bengal government fails to sort of pacify the court with its report on the role that the Kolkata police has played?
Well, definitely it does call for the heads to be rolling in the senior ups at the police in Bengal, West Bengal government. But I would here definitely like to point out about certain things which are rooted in our Constitution of India. See, Article 14 talks about equality. The framers of Constitution saw not just inequality in various castes and various types of people, classification of people, but also wanted to bring in equality between male and female workforce. And with the technology advances and so on and so forth, there is a uprise in various sectors where women are working, and medical field is one of those. The union government is responsible for policy making, but at the same time, to achieve the equality, to provide safeguards, to ensure that the women feel safe at their workplace, the women feel safe to travel to their workplace, the women feel safe to come back to their homes after work, lies squarely with the state government. And in this case, West Bengal government has failed in its duty to provide complete safeguards to the working class and specifically the medical working fraternity in West Bengal. There is a huge question mark that has been raised as to why the West Bengal Government Council in the High Court of West Bengal, Kolkata, had asked for delay in passing over the probe to the CBI. On 13th, the High Court had questioned, why do you want to withhold to pass on the probe to CBI? And that particular question remains unanswered, and that will have to be answered in light of the 7,000 mob strong mob that attacked that particular crime scene on 15th, immediately after the probe was taken over by the CBI. This cannot happen without connivance and tacit support of somebody in the higher ups of the police department of the West Bengal government. To achieve equality, no doubt, this is a complete failure. Article 21, life and liberty and freedom to work, is compromised in West Bengal. In this particular light, the West Bengal government has to come clean and has to dictate to the population of West Bengal
All
as
right,
well as
I'm running
ensure
short of
confidence
time.
in the nation.
I'm
as to
running
what
short of
it
time.
plans to do.
You're behaving like a BJP bully.
No,
You're behaving
please,
like a
you
BJP
want to make a
bully,
point?
Akansha.
Please make
You
a
are
point.
a BJP
You
bully.
want to make a
didn't
point?
give me my
You
time.
cannot
It's not
believe me.
fair.
Dr.
I want
Mohammed,
to say-
please go ahead,
I want
make
to
your
say
point.
that
I give you 30 seconds. No.
You cannot. You
Go ahead, make your point in 30
There
seconds.
has to be conviction. There is
Dr.
no need of
Mohammed,
laws.
make your point.
Enforce the laws. We have enough and more laws. We need to enforce the laws. Unless and until we
Sanju,
enforce it,
please let
we
her
can't
make
even
her point.
Bilkis Banu's
No,
rapists-
let's be judicious. Let her make a
Banu's
point,
rapists have
Sanju.
been given remission. Bilkis Banu's rapists have been given remission. The Prime Minister of India keeps quiet at
Sanju, please let her make a point. I'll come back to you.
Why didn't he stand with the women? He is always with the rapists. That is the problem. That is the issue. There are no convictions in this country. That is the problem. Unless and until we have convictions, we will continue to have rape. What about the two girls in Badlapur school, the 4-year-olds? They have been sexually molested inside a school. What about that? What is the answer to that?
In which Rahul Gandhi was reportedly involved. Madarsa
Please, Rahul Gandhi has condemned the rape unequivocally. Do not point your fingers at Rahul Gandhi. It is the Prime Minister of India who has been quiet.
Sanju, the question that's being asked is also for the need for tougher, stricter laws. All right, I've given you ladies enough time. Please, Dr. Mohammed, let Riju also make a point. Sanju, I'm going to come back to you for a rebuttal from Riju. Riju, please go ahead, make a point. I need to wrap up quickly. Riju, please go ahead. Riju.
I just want to say that on the case of what the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice observed, that why was Calcutta police inadequate in tackling the mob, the Calcutta police commissioner himself in a press conference had said that we failed to assess the situation. However, post that 37 people have been arrested, out of more than 30 people were BJP cadres.
All right, the damage is already done.
Number two, Shondip Ghosh. Listen, hear me out, Akanksha. Shondip Ghosh, for the last 4 days, every day on a minimum 12 hours for the last 4 days, CBI has grilled him. Why has the CBI not arrested him? Is CBI controlled by Trinamool Congress government? And last but not the least.
All right. And that's the question I'm going to pose to. I'm going to pose to Sanju. Sanju, questions are also being asked about how the governor is in the national capital. But it is also being viewed as tokenism because he promised justice. Why hasn't justice been delivered? Why hasn't the CBI been able to make those kind of breakthroughs? Please, Riju, this is my job to pose the questions. Riju, please be quiet. Sanju, please go ahead and make your point.
On the screen. You took Riju alone on the screen. Can I please be
Yes,
alone on the
please
screen,
come.
Akansha? That's only fair.
Come.
Thank you. You know, Akansha, let's be very clear. The fact that Sandeep Ghosh is being interrogated is thanks to the CBI. The fact that Lal Bazar police has finally filed an FIR against, 37 odd people, that is thanks to the CBI. The fact that Sanjeev Vashish, the former superintendent of RGKR, is being questioned is thanks to the CBI. The fact that A.R. Chaudhary, the current chest surgeon and head of the chest department of RGKR, is being questioned is thanks to the CBI. But my question in 20 seconds is only this, Akansha. Where is Kakoli Dastidar, Mahua Mitra, Sagarika Ghosh, Shatabdi Roy, Pratima Mandal, Mala Roy, Malati Beg, Sayoni Ghosh, Sharmila Sarkar, June Malla, Rachna Banerjee and Sajda Ahmed? Who are these people? They are women MPs of TMC who have consumed Fevicol. Shame on Mamata Banerjee. Shame on our women MPs who have tried to trivialize a horrifying and gruesome
I'm afraid I'm running running short of time. We'll have to leave it at that. And I'm sure that we all agree that there's a need for national consensus, especially for stricter laws, especially when it comes to developing an environment which is perhaps more conducive and safer for all women in this country. Many thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in on CNN News 18. And with that, let me also introduce my second guest tonight, a very esteemed one. I'm joined in by Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, who is the former Attorney General of India. Many thanks to you, Mr. Rohatgi, for joining in. First of all, what's your assessment of the top court's observations today, especially when emphasis has been categorically laid on systematic issues regarding the safety of doctors across India?
According to me, the need of the hour is what the court is kind of driving at. And the need of the hour is very, very simply this. You start from the basics, that every doctor in every hospital, whether small, primary, tertiary or big, whether in a small town, big town, mega town, whatever, the hospital firstly must have security. And I'm talking of private hospitals also. And according to me, it should not be left only to private hospitals to provide security in the form of, getting guards from private guard companies. They are no good. They are not really secure. They only act like doormen and all that, if you see. Therefore, every state government, through every district collector or district administration, must ensure some kind of official security in the form of CISF or another force which may be created, may be called the hospital force, which may be funded in some measure, say half by private hospitals and half by the district, or some solution has to be found on that. And a proper armed guard, 1, 2 or 5 depending on the size, must be stationed at these hospitals at all times, not only to prevent what has happened in Calcutta, but to prevent routine and mundane attacks on doctors by patients and their relatives. So that is one. Number two, you must have proper resident quarters within the hospital, whatever they are. They should be proper. They should not be, very far away. They should be appropriate. There should be appropriate bathroom facilities. Now look at this case. This poor girl did not have a place to rest at 3 a.m. in the morning, because I read somewhere she had a meal with her juniors at 2 a.m. How do you expect a young girl at 3 a.m. to go to some God-forsaken seminar room somewhere and sleep in the night? They're absolutely vulnerable. Who can come, who can go? I mean, it is shocking. Therefore, these are things which are required. Proper CCTV cameras, proper residence, proper restroom, proper security guards. These are the things we must start off on a war footing, from the smallest to the biggest hospital. I think that is the need of the hour.
Mr. Rohatgi, the Supreme Court today has also come down heavily on the delay in filing the FIR by the Kolkata police. Should the West Bengal government fail to satisfy the Supreme Court in its submissions that will be made on Thursday, can this not warrant the removal or suspensions of the Kolkata police, DG, even the higher-ups?
That is the least that should happen. And I'll tell you why, very simply. Look at the shocking features. The body is found, I am only saying from what I read. The body is found not in the seminar room, but in another place in the morning without clothes. The body had more than 14-15 serious injuries, including serious injuries in the private parts, also suggesting a gang rape because of the amount of semen found. FIR is not registered for hours together. What was the dean or the principal or the in charge of the hospital or the department doing? I want to know. Why was the police trying to cover it up by a suicide? Can this ever be suicide with 15 injuries and stuff like that? Why was evidence not collected? Why was CCTV not seen for whatever it is worth? Why were not people examined and questioned on that day? Why did the police allow a mob of 7,000 people to ransack and vandalize the hospital within 4 or 5 days, I think on the 15th of August? And that was supposed to be an Independence Day. Now, independence not in this form. I mean, that is denigrating the national flag. Why was all this done? And there is complete silence. What is the police doing? Why is the police chief not answerable? The least that should happen is that the police chief should be suspended or dismissed forthwith. And along with him, the top people in the hospital. Where are they? What were they doing? Why did they not come
Right.
forward? They should also be suspended.
Mr. Rohatgi, the Supreme Court has also said that it is deeply concerned with the fact that the name of the victim has been all over media and the photographs and videos are all over social media. This is extremely concerning. Despite laws prohibiting such disclosures, the victim's name and images have been widely shared. Why social media unable to it's able to escape scrutiny and punishment? Why so?
No, see, according to me, the social media is very much to blame. Not only is it a violation of the law to publish the name of a rape victim, but a horrific situation like this. I am told there are videos and photos going around. It is shocking. It is as if the nation has lost its conscience. This is how we are dealing with our daughters and sisters. This is how we are dealing with our doctors. Why should not social media be put on the mat? The government, central government has all powers under the IT Act and the rules framed thereunder to take all these social media to task to see that this should not be done at all. Look at what must be happening or what must be passing in the mind of the parents. They must be completely shattered. The whole nation is up in arms and people are casually, you see, sending all these videos and all that. I think all this must be put down by an iron hand, and the more swiftly it is done, the better it is, because in our country, new things, new news, good news, bad news keeps coming every day, and what is today is pushed in the corner tomorrow or day after.
Right. Mr. Rohatgi, the role of Sandeep Ghosh is seemingly getting murkier. The state government has formed an SIT to investigate what they call financial irregularities related to Sandeep Ghosh. If that's the case, should we also see a possibility of the Enforcement Directorate moving in against Sandeep Ghosh, considering there are also allegations of financial irregularities against him?
According to me, the state government has lost its mandate. It has lost the confidence of the people. Therefore, the central forces, whether it be to guard the hospital or whether it be to maintain peace in that area or to investigate, luckily CBI has been given the role by the High Court, which was a good thing. According to me, ED and other central authorities must step in, because I for one do not trust the state government in carrying on any SIT to its logical conclusion, and all this must be done under the supervision and the directions of the Supreme Court of India. Only then will you have transparency.
Mr. Rohatgi, the Supreme Court has also said that the power of the West Bengal government should not be unleashed on protesters. It's a time of national catharsis. This as two doctors, Dr. Goswami and Dr. Sarkar, were both summoned by the Kolkata police for allegedly spreading misinformation on charges that they have denied on record. Is Kolkata police hiding behind the veil of misinformation? I'd like your thoughts.
I would definitely say, as I told you, there are telltale factors. which we have discussed earlier. Why was the FIR registered even after the body was given to their parents? Why did they first say suicide? Why didn't they collect material? Why did they not stop the vandalism by a group of 7,000 people? I think the police is completely remiss or it is compromised. That will come out later. Therefore, one cannot put any store by what is happening. And that's why I have been telling you that the central force must be allowed to operate.
I'd like your thoughts on and your assessment of Bengal government's new program called Night Helpers, which will limit the working hours of women, women doctors to a maximum of 12 hours and also avoid assigning them night duty as much as possible. Many are calling it paternalizing, that too in a state which is governed by the only woman CM in the country.
No, see, I mean, let's not look at it that way. Don't look at everything in a negative fashion. If you can limit working hours, it's not a bad thing. Nobody can work for 36 hours. I mean, I find it shocking to say that a doctor should be on duty for 36 hours. How can anybody work for 36 hours? So some limiting, if it is possible, yes, but it should not be only lip service. We have to first get to the bottom of this crime and let this crime unfortunately serve as opening the eyes of all concerned to the plight of these doctors, whichever place they may be, to strengthen the security and infrastructure. That should be kick-started. I think it is shocking that a protesting body of doctors or lawyers, for that matter, should be dealt with in this fashion by the police. This is a clear case of threatening or muzzling a silent or a non-violent protest. A non-violent protest under the Constitution is a fundamental right.
Right.
This attempt by the local police is muzzling a fundamental right. It is entirely unconstitutional, and the police should have refrained from doing so. And according to me, this is another reason why the police chief ought to be suspended forthwith. And if the state government is not suspending the police chief, the Supreme Court can exercise its power. The Supreme Court has immense powers under the Constitution. The Supreme Court can direct that the police commissioner shall not act any further till the court desires. That probably is the need of the hour.
Absolutely. And my last question precisely hinges on that. The protesting doctors have appealed to the Centre for New and Stricter Laws. How can the government ensure that happens? Now that the top court has formed a task force, should the government, based on initial recommendations by the task force, move in an ordinance for safety of doctors?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. The Supreme Court has appointed a wide-based task force which has doctors, which has senior bureaucrats like cabinet secretary, home secretary, etc.
Right.
They should put their heads together. I saw the names of the doctors from the army, the director Ames, who is a very, very respected doctor, head of the most premier institution in India, and others, including from JJ Hospital, Bombay, etc. They should put their act together. They should come out with recommendations at the earliest, and the government must bring an ordinance to improve the conditions of the doctors. But as I said, even by the time this is done and the ordinance happens, it can still take 3 months or 6 months. Nothing happens in a day. But the central government and the right-thinking state governments can brainstorm and at least start providing a skeletal security service on the lines that I'm suggesting, have to be borne by the state or the district concerned and have to be borne by the private hospital to bolster up the security, put CCTV cameras, bolster up the security, and do not allow all and sundry to walk into hospitals at all times. That can be kick-started even without waiting for the task force. And whatever you start today can also be amended tomorrow or in view of what the task force has to say.
Couldn't agree more. Perhaps they can come up with a force that looks specifically into the security for doctors, especially women doctors. Many thanks to you, Mr. Rohatgi, for giving us your precious time here at CNN News 18. It was a pleasure speaking to you. And with that, it's time to cut to a quick break. But up next is a CNN News 18 and Money Control exclusive with author and economist Mr. Ruchir Sharma on the 2024 election mandate. That's our exclusive interaction after a quick break. That's coming up next. Stay tuned.
And other people to see that such incidents don't happen elsewhere in Maharashtra. 8 months back, I have taken the issue, and almost out of 1 lakh schools, 82 schools are registered under the scheme which takes care of the small children. So that also we want to strengthen, and various other initiatives that we are going to take, because in the morning only I came to know about these incidents. Immediately all the machinery is geared up, not only to discuss about this, but today itself all decisions should be taken, GR should be issued, and second thing is punishing the culprit, which is very important. So I am requesting the Home Minister also to take this in fast track court, and then give a special prosecutor so that the culprit is punished immediately. The various sections, those are imposed in this case. Total 74, 75 and 76 of POCSO Act. So that would go to 13.5 years of jail for this criminal. And I think that if that action is taken immediately, no other person will dare do this. The CCTV, we have made it compulsory for all schools to have CCTVs. We were very upset to found that the CCTV installed in the school was not working. So we have issued to the notice to the management as well. We already have the committees. We are further strengthening it, and we'll have to see that with this kind of unfortunate incident, we'll have to take care that such incidents don't happen anywhere else in Maharashtra. And that's why my entire team of education department is sitting here with me. Unfortunately, I'll have to, that is my duty also, to leave for Badlapur, because it is a need of the hour, but I'll join back. Until 12 o'clock, I asked all officers
one question,
to be
Mr. Kesarkar,
in Mumbai.
before we let you go. We understand it's an important time for you, crucial time for you. You're telling us about the several assurances from the state government sent, but how is this allowed to happen, sir? You're telling us that, you personally have ensured that schools are installing CCTV cameras, all of those surveillance measures are in place, but that's exactly what didn't happen here. That's exactly what was not being followed in the school.
You will have to understand that CCTV was not working. Everywhere we have more than 1 lakh schools, and we have 2 crore students studying in Maharashtra. However, we have systems by which we see to it that such incidents don't happen. This anger of people was specially against the lady senior PI, who has not registered the FIR for nearly 8 to 10 hours. And that is the main anger of the people. And second thing is that they are demanding for immediate action on the culprit, which we are in process of doing. And I think that at the same time, I'll have to take every precaution to say that every child in Maharashtra is safe. And if you go through all the records, you will find that Maharashtra is the only state which is implementing this child safety measures very strictly and stringently. And I personally take stock of all the situations, and definitely here also we'll see whether the committee...
Ruchir, I think the last time we met was in April, May, in Hyderabad, and you were, of course, observing the Indian elections, and I was covering the elections as well. And you were pretty certain at that time that you were not seeing any kind of wave. I think you even wrote a piece saying the only wave around is the heat wave. What is it that you saw, which then has been now reaffirmed with this mandate? It's a 240 mandate and not a 300 or a 350 or even a 400 mandate.
Yeah. So as you know that I may travel the world, but the week that I'm most passionate about, the week that means the most to me, is the 1 week of the election trips I do in India. So this was our 31st election trip, where we met in Hyderabad, like around mid-May, early May, in fact, is when we met. And we had taken this journey where we sort of drove about 2,000 kilometers, starting from Vijayawada, close to the eastern seaboard, all the way up to Mumbai. And we stopped along the way and practically covered 4 states along the way. And I think that the sentiment that we picked up on these travels, and I'd say that even more so in places like Maharashtra and stuff, is that there was this yearning or desire in India that this thing has become too one-sided. The narratives become too one-sided. The whole thing has become too one-sided. So, as I said, so and I wrote in the book, like in my piece also, which you're referring to, that there was no great discernible anti-BJP feeling. There was, even for Modi and all, there was no discernible feeling. I think a lot of people took, who were on the upside in terms of what he would get, were more focused on that, which is that that there's no discernible anti-Modi feeling, and he's been able to pretty much say what he wants and get what he wants before that, right? Because that was how the state elections had played out and stuff. So that was the feeling that's concerned. But I think that the story which we managed to pick up on our travels, and possibly others missed, is the fact, this feeling that outside of that base, which was pretty stable, there were lots of people who were feeling that this has become too one-sided. We need an opposition in this country. And this has always been my sort of feeling about India, that our democratic fiber is very strong. We don't like, one-sided battles for too long. There's a sort of natural tendency in us to root for the underdog in terms of that. So I think we're a naturally democratic nation. And so there was a feeling that we need the other side to come up. So I think that what we had in state after state is a consolidation of the vote which happened, where people wanted to back whoever was the winner, or who could be the winner against this very strong force on the other side. So I think that that's the very key message that we observed. And there was also a bit of an urban-rural divide, which is that in the urban side, this idea of India sort of doing really well outside, it's doing really well and all that, and that pride and nationalism was there. In rural areas, I feel that has much less of an echo. And so I think those are some of the trends that we picked up while we were traveling. And I think that in terms of, so I was a bit surprised that why is the narrative the other way? And I think that, but that's the problem also, I think that which this government has to sort of be a bit careful about, which is that it's so focused on the narrative and making sure that everyone buys into that narrative, that sometimes you lose connection with the ground reality, when that happens. When people are almost scared to go and tell them that, hey, this is not the reality of what's going on. There's something else that we're picking up on the ground. There's almost a fear for expressing that, because even when I wrote those pieces, there was a lot of pushback. And I'll never forget that time that I'd gone back to New York and the exit polls came out. And in fact, I was also a bit sort of, people told me about that, of people going on television and almost attacking personally me and groups like ours, saying that all these guys come here, live in these elite bubbles and do these trips and don't understand what's happening in real India. So it's like that level of overconfidence which crept in. I think that, all those were points for us. And as I said, that some of it is luck as well. We've done 31 election trips. There are times when we have missed trends as well. But after having done so many election trips, I guess experience at some level matters.
But I do want to ask you, instead of May, if you're taken that road trip in January when the Ram Mandir inauguration happened and Prime Minister was leading the religious ceremonies, it was like he could do no wrong. And this whole Hindutva experiment, it was sort of a culmination of that. But the fact that an opposition sort of keeps pointing to this, that the BJP could not even win in the Ayodhya seat, what do you make of that? Is it that this Hindutva experiment has reached its limits and people are now going back to bread and butter issues, livelihood issues, etc.? or what is your understanding of why the BJP, despite the high point that they reached on January 22nd, both in Mr. Modi's image and this Hindutva project, they were not able to convert that into election gains?
Yeah, but I also feel that there's a certain level of fatigue which sets in like the country, both with leaders and also to do with the issues, right? That like it's like that old line we used to have, that how long can you keep running to the newsroom with the same breaking news, right? Which is that okay, you can play it once, you can play it twice, but beyond the time, people are like, okay, what else, right? So there was a time when I think that some people felt and make no mistake, there's still a very strong like Hindutva constituency, but there's a time when people felt that we needed a corrective course after what they felt had been a long period of appeasement. And now that you've had much more sort of assertive Hindutva government in power, I think that the feeling that you need even more of that, there are limits to that. There are diminishing returns to that narrative, right? Which is that okay, you had this feeling of very strong, appeasement, and something needs to be done to counter it. You've done it. Now let's move on to the next issue. You just can't keep on sort of going with back with the same issue. And the other thing which I've observed is that generally around the world, and I've seen this repeatedly in fact, and I wrote a piece about this in fact when Merkel left office in 2021, it is very rare for leaders to remain popular after 10 years. Even in India's case, if you look at the state leaders and stuff, after 10 years, it gets really difficult to remain popular. I think that you're seeing that even at a state level. I mean, like even in places like Bengal. And stuff like that. Yeah. I think you're seeing signs of that. Now Bengal is a state which generally gives their leaders a very long rope because in terms of the CPI, they was there forever. But even Nitish Kumar, etc. But I'd say generally the trend, and this is not just about Modi, is very difficult for leaders around the world to remain popular after 10 years. In fact, in democratically elected countries, you can almost not find any leader who after 10 years left office on a high or was popular. Merkel, so when I wrote that piece, I remember, was a bit of an exception. So it's very difficult. So I think there's a natural fatigue element with both the issue and the leader which has set in. And after the election, in fact, I've only seen that momentum gather further is the reading that I have.
Okay. So that's it. In fact, Naveen Patnaik lost also, although after much more than 10 years.
Exactly. And I'm saying in generally, these are templates, whether it's 10, but I'm saying that the number of leaders who remain popular after 10 years around the world, especially national, state, maybe even this thing, generally the number is extremely low. There'll always be exceptions. There's no 100% rule out there. No, of course. But I'd say that, and even if you look at the stock market, it's very interesting. I've done this study, but India's already defined that in some way, that the longer a leader remains in power, at least from a pure that factor, generally the stock market returns tend to also tail off. Even in America, it's incredible that we're having elections. There's a huge gap between stock market returns in the first term of a leader and the second term of a leader. So these are general rules, and there'll always be exceptions, and in some regards you can argue India's already defied that.
The time the authorities swing into action, such horrendous, unfortunate incidents have taken place already. We can't take away those times, those phases, those memories.
I'm not talking with you today. My record will tell you that 8 months back, we have instructed all schools, we have formed the committees. In spite of that, if some school makes a mistake, we'll take a strong action against them. Because it is on the school level, because we have a different system in Maharashtra, that these are aided schools where the management is private and we pay the teacher's salary. So there, if the management is found to be at fault, we'll cancel that school's grants also and we'll close that school also, because we are very strict about child safety.
So one is a lapse on part of the school administration, Mr. Kesarkar, the other is on part of the police. The delay in filing the FR in the first place. Why will it not anger the family members, the people, the parents of so many other students sending their young girls to schools?
Madam, I cannot hear you properly, but as far as I could understand a little, I think you are talking about the delay in the FIR.
Yes.
That we have taken action, and I have requested the Honorable Home Minister to suspend that lady, not only transfer her but suspend her, so that there won't be any negligence in future from the police department as well.
Will a committee be constituted? Something?
I'll have to, madam, leave now for Badlapur
some decision
because the
taken
crowd
in that
there is
direction,
demanding
perhaps,
for
Mr. K. Sarkar, so that there is regular surveillance, more checks and balances in place, sir, going forward?
Of course, what I have done now, that we are installing our own system by which our commissioner office would be linked with each school. And while doing this automation, I have asked them to take children's safety as the first priority. And that will be done because that's why I will be sitting them till late in the night, and will make a perfect choice immediately. And the department reacts on it immediately. But right now I am Education Minister, so I will have to coordinate with the Home Ministry as well. And our Honorable Home Minister is very sensitive. Every 15-20 minutes the Honorable CM is online with me, instructing me what is to be done in Maharashtra. They are very much concerned about the current situation and what unfortunate incidents happen. So I have spoken to Child and Women Welfare Department also, so that the immediate help reaches the parents. Also, the good mental care is to be taken by the small children. That is also will be taken. So I am visiting the spot immediately, and there will take every.
Hello, namaskar. This is First Post, and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Kamala Harris will be the presidential nominee for the Democrats. Their convention kicked off yesterday. Joe Biden delivered his farewell speech. Harris will accept the nomination later this week. At this point, it is a mere formality. The convention was supposed to celebrate the unity of the Democratic Party. But now Israel's war threatens to disrupt the event. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters plan to